Croeso and welcome to Beyond the Track podcast. My name is James Thie, coach, commentator, lecturer and endurance runner.
And I am Jenny Long, GB distance runner.
We'll be going beyond the track, speaking to the athletes about their stories and also the very best of the sports professionals in Wales and beyond.
We hope you will leave each episode feeling better informed and more inspired about athletics and running in Wales.
Welcome to the latest episode of Beyond the Track podcast. And Jen, what a weekend at the Cardiff Cross Challenge. Did you make it down? And I think I did see you from the great spot that I have in the commentary box. And and how was your weekend other than that as well?
Yeah, I made it down, just about made it in time for the women's mile. It was a bit touch and go. We got our timings a little bit wrong. It's a further walk than we think from home. But we made it down and it was a really good event, actually. Yeah. Weirdly, didn't have any FOMO from not competing, which I was a bit surprised by. I thought, I'd want to be out there, but actually really enjoyed just kind of spectating and taking it all in. So it was really good. As for my weekend, it consisted of just under 22-mile run yesterday.
Nice.
Getting down to sort of what I hope marathon pace is going to be.
Yeah.
So, all good, but I'm absolutely shattered today. I'm not going to lie.
And we're delighted to be joined in the studio by under 23 GB International, Dafydd Jones, who was in his spikes on Saturday at the Cardiff Cross Challenge. Welcome, Dav, to the studio.
Thank you very much. It's great to join you guys on the podcast today. So, looking forward to it.
And how are the legs feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, actually. Like, it was a good run out. Nice to sort of, I would say, blow off the cobwebs before Liverpool. But yeah, it was nice to get in a good field, get in amongst some Europeans, in amongst some Africans. And yeah, it was a good run out. Not perfect, but we're keeping that till 2 weeks' time.
And it's a great chance to have you here to get an athlete's insight. I know Jen's done it previously lots of times, but in terms of how the event's grown in the last couple of years, because you've had some really good performances there, and we've seen some top European athletes come over to what is now, it's a World Athletics Gold Label event, a part of the Cross Series. Obviously, it's the British Athletics Cross Challenge Series #1. So as athletes, as like yourself, Dav, head to Liverpool in a couple of weeks, and we were saying, weren't we, Jen, about Liverpool and those other places are up for grabs in the European team. But the weekend, the action at the weekend was phenomenal. Obviously, the 2 minute silence for Remembrance Sunday, and then those primary school races with the Earth, record numbers, and just great to see so many youngsters out there running their first ever cross country. Did you do a bit of primary school running, Dav, back in the day?
I didn't start I could call it a running career until I was 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
But, like my earliest memories of cross countries that I would have deemed like a big deal for me, which was always that first one of the year, Cardiff Cross. You'd turn up and you'd feel like, okay, this is more than just like a Welsh cross country or a Gwent League.
Yeah.
This is the big deal. And for me, Cardiff Cross was that one every year where you're like, okay, if I'm going to be 20th or 30th or even further down the line, It was always Cardiff Cross, and it was always very well contested. So yeah, Cardiff Cross has always had a place in my year every year. So it's been nice that across the years I've taken steps upwards, and it's nice that now in the senior ranks I'm up with these very good athletes, and it's always been a good one for me every year to turn up to. Yeah.
What's it like competing in Cardiff? I always feel like there's something very special about competing at Cardiff Cross compared to any other cross country around the world, because it is in Cardiff and that's where we're from and that's where all our friends are, and I think there's a different vibe and a different bit of energy. And
yeah, for sure. I think it's one of them ones now that I'm in the senior ranks as well, and I feel like there's more sort of there's more preparation, there's more purpose to some of these races. When you turn up and you're on home turf, you can also train on the course as well. So
you were out there the night before. I did see on your Strava, checking out the course. Yeah,
you can familiarise yourself with the course and stuff like that. And yeah, it's I would say it's probably one of the best courses around. And I'm surprised that we haven't had the European champs or something there yet. And I think it's a great course. And I think to have a home crowd and people there supporting you, it's especially last year where it was my first bigger step up, and to have my mates there and have friends and family there, and to have somebody who I was running with turn and tell me, "Oh, mate, have you got your whole family out on the course?" It's nice. It's nice to hear that, and it's always an extra boost to run on home turf. So yeah, it's always good.
I think that was the thing at the weekend again. It's the colour, it's the noise, the number of club tents, the club flags, because it's part of the John H. Collins Gwent League as well. So you get the masses out there. So the primary school race is super competitive. Then the age group races, what amazed me were athletes. And there was Madison Kindler, Sam Cousins in the under-13s that won last year that doubled back. That's hard to do in an age group. And then under-15s, Cara Gorman did the same. But then our under-20s that we had on show, Innes Fitzgerald and Will Rabjohns, both of them doubling back. As you go up the age groups, it's a little bit more, kind of prominent when athletes are, as dominant as Innes, who we'll come on to now. But I was super impressed with some of the youngsters that they're coming through and, travelling far and wide to be here. But how impressed, Jen, Innes Fitzgerald, she is almost unstoppable.
Unstoppable is the key word there. And I was having a conversation with a few people on the side, actually. We were watching the race and thinking, like, wow, like, this is incredible. Look, like, how far ahead she is. And I'm very much for, like, as you grow up, racing in your age group and competing against people your age, learning your craft, like, collecting all the titles you can. But there was people arguing against that with me, saying, should she be in the senior race today? Like, should she be perhaps trialing something different?
Well,
like
we'll come on to the seniors
putting
later,
herself
the winner
against
of the
those
seniors
girls.
Was 17.
Yeah. So I think it is like a really interesting debate, especially in somewhere like Cardiff. Could Innes have stepped up to the long... I say longer distance with quotations. It's only 6.4k for the senior women.
Yeah, she was running for about 14 minutes in her race.
And versus 21.
20 minutes,
Yeah. And would that be an opportunity for her to perhaps experience the senior kind of environment, but on a bit of a lower key level, when she's been to places like the World Champs and the Diamond Leagues and stuff? So I think that was a really interesting kind of conversation we were having, was like, this is an amazing performance by Innes. We expected it. She won by nearly a minute. But could she have gained perhaps a new experience and some new learnings, kind of stepping up into the senior age group?
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion. I always say people run your age group but when you're as good as Innes is, would it be better to have that racing experience of, going head to head and see how she goes against someone her same age as well, who she's going to be racing against at World Cross potentially, which I think that could have been a really good head to head. And also Megan Keith as well.
Yes.
In terms of just the best of British out there. It's fascinating to see that progression. But Joe and Gavin Pavey seem to be doing a great job with Innes. They seem to pick the right races in her development. So junior or senior, Dav, which would you have done?
I think there's arguments for both.
Yeah.
I think it's a point in the year where you've got to be careful with what you do, and I think it's one of them ones where a conversation's obviously been had, and they've discussed that, probably in a sense of, okay, we've got Liverpool in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Let's just have a good run out. Let's just use it as a training session, and let's be ready for Liverpool. And I think, yes, she could have done the senior race, but is it then too much to ask 2 weeks out? And I think I've spent a bit of time within this when I'm on different teams and going to different championships, and I think she is a very competitive athlete, and every race she does, I think she does always want to leave everything out there. Yeah. So it's one of them ones where I feel like if Gavin and Joe know her quite well, they may have thought, okay, maybe if we put her in her age group, we can keep a rein on her and make sure that she's not going to the red 2 weeks before Liverpool and risking anything. So I think it's obviously been thought out, but it's, I think it would have been interesting to see.
It also might mirror the Europeans where she's going to be out in front, as in it's her against
for sure.
the clock.
The clock, and the same with Liverpool as well.
Yeah.
So maybe it's almost, and you're a long time a senior as well, but, I think potentially in the future, obviously she's going to need to be tested. But I think, maybe at the weekend you're right in terms of not going redlining. So,
something I would, that would be me.
So Dav, sandwich between, obviously I said about the under 20 men between the before your race kicked off. Did you see Will Rabjohns flying through the course?
I had a quick brief sort of looking at the race, and
his range. Wow.
It's one of them ones. I think with Will, he's a 145, I think, 800 guy, but the way that people train these days, you've got to have range, and I think like a lot of coaches say, it's always nice to, even as an 800 metre runner, to get in the mix with cross country and just be strong at this time of year. And as you said, Will won here last year, so I think he's he's shown his class both over cross and the track, and he had a great run at the Europeans last year. So I think, he's obviously using it as training, but Will's, he's got great range, and it was good to see him run well, and yeah.
And talking of range, last year, 12 months ago, Niels Lalaros was in your race. And obviously, Niels was unbelievable at the under-23 team over Europeans over 800, but obviously 1500 as well throughout the season. So you're absolutely right in terms of needing that range. I think Will Rabjohns has got a big 1500 in there. I think that 800 shows his speed, but he looks so strong and so kind of confident over the cross-country distance. So I think that might end up being his best event potentially. For
sure. Yeah, I think it's one of them ones where a lot of guys these days, due to the sort of changes in training and certain coaches' philosophies, there's a lot more volume in training now, and I think even the best 1500 metre guys in the world, and even some of the best 800 metre guys, they're still doing quite a lot of volume, and I think that does complement cross-country quite well then, when in the winter you are doing a little bit more volume. These guys can turn up to these races and compete when the race is less than 6k. That fits him perfectly, and his speed then shows in that last sort of 1k of the race where he can just quite easily pull away.
But at the weekend, some of those mid-distance guys you just mentioned were doing their event, weren't they? So the 1 mile cross-country races for men and women, part of the trial for the European athletics team, super competitive. It was great to see, really two strong fields. Obviously, we'd had a little bit of sunshine and rain in the week before. So, it made it fast and furious, Jen, didn't it, over the 1 mile circuit?
Absolutely. And I would like to point out right now that I did call Holly Dixon as the female winner. Called her the underdog, but I had my bet and my eye on her to take the victory. So I would like to just, make it publicly announced here that I was correct.
So what are the lottery numbers this week, Jen?
I'm keeping them to myself. But yeah, really great race to watch. And especially Holly, she took it out from the start and held on. And I think in her post-race interview, she was like, I really respect the quality of the 8 and the 1500 metre girls in this race. And I wanted to play to my strengths. And that was just to hit it hard from the start and hopefully hold on to the end. And it worked out in her favour. So that was really good to see, and that's her first GB vest. So,
she was dominant though, wasn't she? I mean, she talked about how proud she was after, and also the Ava Lloyd, the youngster, was chasing her down. Coached by Trevor Painter and Jenny Meadows. So they always get it right on trial days and big days. And that home straight again, looking down, and I tell you what, we did mention her again. Lucy Jones's range from being, the open London Marathon champion,
2.5
2 hours 30, 4:10 in the summer 1500. You mentioned a good 800 in there to boot. Good start to cross country season, then third over a mile, and she wasn't that far from making the team. That's range, right?
Yeah, I think again it goes to a lot of athletes these days. There's a lot of athletes out there these days that have got great range, and that's something that I think a lot of people have got now, and I think it's good to be able to race a 15 and then also say, okay, I can run under 29 for a 10k. A lot of people, they've got that these days, and I think you sort of need it in the sport, and you've got to be able to be versatile and robust at whatever race you're going to put yourself in. So, fair play to her, and I think, there's a lot of athletes out there that can do that these days now.
What's her event?
I'm calling it now. She's going to be top 6 at Liverpool. She's getting on the plane in the long course. That's Lucy Jones. Yeah.
I mean, I look at someone like her, think, what's her ceiling? What event? And especially track wise, is there another event that she might even look at with that strength and speed?
It's the 10k might be calling her name.
Steeplechase.
Yeah.
It's so exciting when talents come through, and that's the great thing with our sport, where you can be oblivious or anonymous a few months ago and be knocking on the door of GB teams, of multiple distances as well. I think it's phenomenal. And the men's mile as well. I think point out that I haven't seen the exact distances on people's Stravas yet, but
I think it was over a mile.
Was the
1.05.
I mean, that's so impressive. Women's winning time was 5:02, 4:23 for the men. Cam Boyack, who,
do you know what? I was rooting
for him. He's the people's champion. One of the nicest guys. One of the people that you would want to have been on that team. Not that we don't want the others to be on the team.
He's got a really incredible comeback story as well. I'm pretty sure I was on a team with him at a cross country race somewhere many moons ago, and he's now come back. And
he won gold in 2017 in the relay team, and I think he just got a little bit carried away. And I think he maybe took, and he tried to jump the field, and there was safety in numbers in the group behind. And when you looked back at the group, and the likes of, Will Barnacote were in there, Callum Elson, who came through for second, but it was, probably the two Higgins brothers. And some were saying that maybe Ted was maybe more favoured, potentially, but it was Jack Higgins. We're trying to work it out, myself and Matt said, and Matt said on live
was
stream.
Was that a bit confusing from the commentary box?
Well, you got Higgins, they look identical, other than the J on their number. But Jack Higgins, he timed it to perfection, and it was such an exhilarating last finishing straight. And he admitted it was slightly unexpected, absolutely over the moon though. And again, I love seeing new people come out. And they're going to earn their stripes and be in that GB team. And then obviously if the selection does go to Callum Elson, Callum's, what a return from a horrific injury on the track and, not the most amount of luck over the last couple of years. That's great, Dav, isn't it, to see Callum back. But did you see the mile race at all?
Yeah, I did. I did catch the mile race. I saw the last sort of 200 metres and I did watch it back because I mean, it was that sort of finishing straight and I wanted to know what had happened sort of at the start of the mile. And yeah, he did take it out hard, but it's one of them ones where I feel like the dynamic of a mile on a cross-country course is so different, and the demands of it is completely different to a 1500 metres on the track. And I think across the years since they've had it in Liverpool and obviously changing location this year, it's sometimes won by people just going out hard and hanging on. Yeah. Like I trained with James Hennigan. I've got to mention his name here, but yeah, he did something similar. Yeah. I think it was a couple of years back, and he went out hard and held on. Yeah. I think just with the way that the course was this year, I think it's not pancake flat. Yeah. There's hills in there, and I think the grass will sap your legs, and I think. Fair play to Boyack. I did genuinely think he was going to win it, and he was looking good. But when you've got that sort of calibre of a field, it's hard when you've gone out hard, you've backed yourself, but then somebody else a little bit further down has just sort of kept that little 1%.
When you're the person sitting, and you can just. Let
sure.
it go. The last, I think he waited until 50 metres to go.
I think you're right. It's the court. Liverpool's slightly uphill and it's a bit boggy, isn't it? And I think it's a deceptively hard home straight. Liverpool, as you both know very well. Cardiff, though, even the rain we've had, it's still fairly fast and it's slightly downhill. And again, we'll talk about the senior men's winner in a second about how fast he closed. But I think that might have played into hands. You can feel it. And the more you relaxed you are, the faster you're going. And obviously with Cam, I messaged him saying, "Great job, mate." And he said, "I could hear you saying they were coming," which they were. But it was like he said, "I couldn't do anything about it." And so he left it all out there. So one thing with Cam is he gave it absolutely everything, threw the kitchen sink at it, wasn't quite enough. But yeah, Jack Higgins, take a bow, and Callum Elson, him and Andy Hobdell, the coach, they will be delighted to have put themselves in the mix.
And do you think, because we've obviously had the mile trial now and Liverpool's in 2 weeks' time, and there are people who cross over and can perform well at both the short and the long course.
What are you saying, Jen? What are you saying?
Do you think we'll see someone who didn't quite make the team in the mile?
Make the team. I thought you were talking about someone that might...
Or even someone that makes the
Higgins
team.
and Elson might leave it, but Holly Dixon looks so good. That, I think
do you think there'll be a...
Yeah, or Lucy. Yeah, you said Lucy Jones.
Somewhere.
Your predictions, Lucy Jones being in the mix.
I think it will make the long course race at Liverpool more exciting and more interesting.
I think we've lost a couple over the years that might have decided to go short course rather than long course. And some of the under-23s that might have been just on the borderline.
There was a year Kate Axford ran the short course, and I thought she should have gone long course, and I think she would have made the team that year. She just missed out on the short course. So
I think you're right.
I think it will make the race in Liverpool more exciting.
Definitely going to make it stronger. I think that's a good shout, Jen. Good shout.
And talking about the longer courses, so like you mentioned earlier, this was the first fixture of the Cross Challenge. What did the women's race look like for you from the commentary box?
Well, we saw Megan Keith looking really good at one point in the race, and because Matt Seddon had the live stream, and obviously I was looking over his shoulder at certain points, and we saw Megan stop, and it wasn't totally clear why she'd stopped. She was fiddling with her shoe, and then she kind of got going again, but didn't really get going, and it turned out that at the end it was a conker So literally stuck to her spike. Yeah. And have you had that, Dav? Have you had something?
I've had that frustration before. And it's
do you stop or do you keep running?
It's almost impossible to not stop and get it out.
So you've stopped.
Yeah, because otherwise, you can't turn over your legs.
Yeah.
You can sometimes get lucky and you just manage to get it out by digging your foot in and it just sort of pops out. But yeah, it's one of them ones where I think it's hard on a race day to know, okay, today I need 12s or today I need 15s. And I put 15 in for Cardiff and I was on that start line thinking, I don't know if I need 15s
I'd have
today.
gone 12s.
That corner, a lot of people fell to the bottom of the hill. And we were watching on the screen.
So I didn't realise people were falling.
There was a pile-up. People were going down, especially some of the younger age groups where they think they were coming at it at some speed. Because you saw some fallers, Dav, didn't you? Or?
Yeah, I think it's one of them ones where that corner was it needed 15s. And I think that's the reason I put them in, was as Jen said, I ran there the day before and I thought, this is going to be tough. And, it's always that corner that somebody's going down on. So, yeah, I think it's one of them ones for Megan where she probably thought, right, I'm going to put 15s in. And there's always that risk then when you're on a course where there's a lot of leaves and there are conkers, there's that risk that it's going to...
Are you stopping during the race to get the conker out?
I would stop.
Yeah.
I think she did the right decision.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very...
I'd have stopped,
very painful last 2K running with a...
See, I had a stone in my shoe at Marathon Early for 20 miles in the carbon plate. But I'm worried about, I didn't want to stop in case trying to get it out, my hamstring cramped. So I ran with this annoying stone and it annoyed me. So if I could have stopped, I had a quick, someone take the stone out. But yeah, so she stopped and it was a superb performance. 17-year-old Cynthia Chepkaruri. When you look at, potential stars of the future, she was dominant in the end, pulled in 20 seconds clear of Sheila Jabet.
And do you know what? She looked incredible running. Like we were looking at her style, the way her
beautifully strong,
her pick up off the way she contacted the ground and just moved across the
real
cross
powerful.
country course.
And I think that's the other thing. It's making grass look like a road or a track.
She honestly looked like she was just running in Valencia on the roads. It looked insane.
And when you look at the time, 20 minutes and 11 seconds for what is, as you know, Jen, is the best part of 4 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 5-minute miling, give or take, bar a few yards. And that's so impressive. And I was also impressed with Canada's Celia McCabe as well. I thought she threw down a big race.
I actually saw her on Sunday morning running on the tap.
Oh, cool.
I didn't realise it was her at the time. Yeah. I was running with Owen and I looked across. I was like, God, she's going well. And she again looked really strong and like a powerful athlete. And to be fair, I didn't expect her to be up in the top 3 when we previewed this race last week. So,
no, I thought Megan would be on that podium. And there was a few other of the internationals that didn't make it for visa reasons. And when you look at that, Dav, in terms of performances, the speed that they're running over that surface, you obviously saw it in the men's as well. But also on Sunday, you got to run with a few different people, didn't you? I think some of the Dutch athletes.
Yeah, I think it's always great. I think the good thing about Cardiff Cross is you do get quite a good sort of domestic field. And I think you also get a couple of people coming over who want another run out before, trials before Europeans. So there was a few Dutch athletes and, a few Africans. So it's nice to have a mixture in Cardiff because I think it gives you a good idea of, okay, here I am on a British level, but also here I am against a couple of guys who I might race in Europeans in a couple of weeks' time. So, I ended up running with a couple of the Dutch guys on Sunday, and it's always nice to just talk training, talk racing. And
I can only imagine what the conversations were that were going on.
Yeah, it's nice because those Dutch guys they train with Niels Laros and obviously under Thomas Lewandowski, and for me I love the sort of nitty gritty and the sort of the science behind training, and it was nice to see some of the knowledge behind their training, and I guess that's the nice thing of having sort of people come to Cardiff and race. It's good for them to see what our cross countries are like, and they even said themselves, we'd love it if there was a European cross country in Cardiff. So it would be great if we could have one of them on home turf, and I think we could get a great turnout in Cardiff.
I feel like those sort of athletes need to experience the Parliament Hill. Experience one day, just to really see what true back to the roots of British cross country is.
Eurocross, though, I think in Cardiff there are some rumours maybe that it could be definitely on the horizon. The question would be, obviously it'd be the December date, so we'd maybe use Cardiff then as a, maybe we go as a trial, because it'd be great to have the trial course the same as Euros. So there has to be a few negotiations and discussions. But also, we talked about last week, I ran the first one, David, I don't know if I told you that, but in 1997...
I listened to the pod.
I don't think you were alive then.
They went into the castle, and I know the course and the setting is unbelievable there, but I wonder whether to have a little slight tweak,
especially in December when it's a bit more
Christmas
festive.
Theme,
you got the light up reindeer outside.
Somewhere maybe, but maybe the Christmas market. What's over there? The lights.
You got the lights in Butte.
I don't think it would be allowed.
That's the most inconvenient thing for a runner is the lights in Butte. I'm not going to lie.
They do get
they are on my loop, and I'm not happy about it.
But even if it's on the standard course, Eurocross there would be amazing, and then you'd have even more people to run with on. Well, the races are on Sunday, so it'd be on Monday, wouldn't it, Dad? But
I think it's
for you as an athlete, home Euro champs. You'd be a senior by then. I'm assuming in a couple of years' time, senior Eurocross. It would
be great. I think to have that on home turf, and you go to so many different places for a European champs. Like I was out in Turkey last year, and
that was different.
Very different. Yeah. I think I feel like the cross country races that you do face in a European champs are quite a contrast to what we do normally have in a classic British cross country. So it would be nice if it was on home turf, and to sort of have a similar sort of race setting and a similar sort of racing conditions then to what we would normally expect a cross country to be. And I think it would just be nice for Wales and for Cardiff to host such a big event. Yeah. And I think hopefully it would get a lot of traction and a lot of spectators, and I think it would just be great. I really think it would be great. I
agree entirely. I've always said, even 2021, I think Ree was trying to get the Eurocross to Cardiff, and I'm still in full support of that. I think I might even have to try and come out of my cross country retirement if it was on the cards. So
Dav, just go back to your race. How do you feel it went? What's the tweaks between now and Liverpool?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't go exactly to plan, but I think that's just life. Everything's not going to go exactly as you want it to, and we sort of wanted to use Cardiff as a good, strong run out. I had run a race previously, but it was just one of them ones that we always use a couple of weeks out, and wanted to use it as a bit of a gauge before the trials in Liverpool. So, all in all, a good race. I felt like I did have some issues on the second lap, which weren't expected and not something I've really experienced before. Had some stitching, and it did really set me back, and I couldn't really push and sort of fulfill what I wanted to in the race. But sort of all in all, there were quite a lot of positives, and training's been trending really well. So it's just minor adjustments now, and I think the confidence is there. The training has been good. So it was just nice to get out in Cardiff, get in the mix, and still a top 16, so I was pleased with how the run went.
And what will your training look like now? Sort of, you've done this Cardiff Cross, you've got 2 weeks to Liverpool. Obviously, that's the goal. You want to make the team, but you also sometimes have to look ahead to the Europeans as well. So how would your training be structured now for the next 2 weeks to get you there in the best possible place? Yeah,
for sure. It's one of them ones where a lot of the hard work, a lot of the big volume, a lot of the sort of the base then has already been set. So there's not much I can do in the next 2 weeks to be ready for the race. It's sort of icing on the cake really. And a lot of the key training's been done, but it's just 2 weeks now of sort of keeping my head level
and staying healthy.
That's always the hardest thing.
Get away from people that are coughing.
It's one of them ones where it's now what can I do between now and then to just sort of put that icing on the cake and make sure that when I turn up to Liverpool I'm ready to go, and it's keep things ticking over, do some training but not enough, not something that's going to tip me over the edge. And we've learned the hard way sort of over the last couple of years that in the winter, yes, you want to be doing more training than you're doing in the summer, but it's also still a fine line, and you've got to be careful around these big races not to do something that is going to keep you on that line. But as you said, Jen, it's one of them ones where I'm thinking now I've got a race in 5 weeks' time. Yeah. There's Europeans. That's my goal. So ultimately, yes, I want to be ready for Liverpool. But my big goal for the winter is to get to that Europeans and sort of have a good, solid run there. And I feel like that was not the case last year. I had a good run in Cardiff, really solid run out, made the team in Liverpool. That went pretty well. And then, got sick before Europeans and ran subparly compared to those 2 previous races. And it's a hard pill to swallow, really, when that's been your goal for so long and you sort of, like, yes, I have a life outside of the sport, but it's hard when you work so hard for something and when you really want to perform and it doesn't go to plan. It's one of them ones where it does sort of take you a bit of time to sort of let it settle and for you to sort of comprehend, okay, this is how today went. But yeah, let's sort of analyze it, look at what went wrong, how can we change things and be ready for next competitions and previous years. So my sort of take on the block so far is we've taken a way more conservative approach, and I feel like Cardiff last year went amazingly. Cardiff this year went well.
Yeah.
So hopefully this year we're gonna be ready for Liverpool and we're gonna run really well there, and then hopefully have a good run out at Europeans, which is the ultimate goal for the winter, really. So yeah.
Well, we're going to get excited, Jen, aren't we, about Liverpool? We always do. But you were obviously like pretty much at the halfway point altogether, the group, and then it kind of splintered up at the front. Matthew Kipsang, World Championship finalist in the 5,000 metres. Again, watching them on the live stream, the way they were navigating the back markers was just amazing. And they were flying over Victor Komasot and Stephen Kimitai. But the finish, Matthew Kipsang's last like 300 metres, I reckon it was like 40 point. It was so fast.
And you're negotiating like twists and turns and that.
I literally looked up and they were together and then looked down at my notes, looked back up, and he must have had like 50 metres on the next. And he still had 200 metres to run, and he didn't let up. Kipsang didn't let up the whole way, and he absolutely flew down to that finishing line. So it was super, super impressed with that. And first of the Brits home, Zach Mohammed, always a super consistent performer, a Southampton athlete. Ran Valencia half marathon a few weeks ago. So Jen, also that leaves a bit of fatigue in the legs. It's hard coming back to what is a fast race in Cardiff, isn't it? And he said it was good, but he said his legs were a little bit heavy from Valencia.
And I would totally expect that. From my experience of half marathons, it's 2 to 3 weeks before you're back kind of feeling like yourself again. So to kind of turn this around in 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Going from the smooth roads in Valencia, great packs around you, to then like throwing yourself onto a cross-country course. It is completely different demands.
Yeah.
So I think that just shows that he's got a lot of strength behind him.
Yeah.
And he's in a really good position kind of going into
I chatted to him and his coach after and said, Liverpool? And they were like, Liverpool. I think it was basically almost, to do Cardiff, almost to reset the body and get that focus on cross. Because
it's a different hurt as well. Like it's, 10K, 9K you guys ran versus a half marathon. It's a different sort of pain too, which I think, exposing yourself to before kind of the goal race is really important.
But I thought that's still a very decent hit out, for Zach. And in a couple of weeks' time, oh wow, I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it. Because you get to run, don't you, under 23s and seniors. If it's as it was and it says in the programme, you'll be running together and then you'll be branching off again, Dav, won't you? So peeling off. So talk about that last year, because that was the first time. It used to be under 23s and seniors did the same distance, same race, and the teams obviously picked on merit of that. But last year was the first time that the seniors and under 23s were together, and then the under 23s peeled off.
It's an interesting dynamic, really. I think it's one of them ones where I think it was to avoid friction on the day and sort of, okay, we'll have one race, but we'll sort of let them sort of peel off before. I think it's got pros and cons. I think the pros for some of the under-23s last year, like David Stone ran away with it, beat Will on the day, true. Which was probably unexpected. Yeah. And I think, Will trains with David, and I'm not sure whether he thought that David would beat him on the day, but I think having those seniors there, when you're running one lap less than the seniors, you sort of have maybe a bit more leeway to say, right, okay, well, I'm just going to use these seniors. I'm going to go with them, and I'm going to hope that I can just hang on and sort of, run away with this. And I think that's what happened last year. And I mean, me, myself, I took a totally different approach where I was like, I think they're going out too hard.
Yeah.
All the under-23s are probably going to think we're running shorter distance. Let's go off with the seniors.
Yeah.
And I was thinking last year, maybe a lot of them will pop. And that was the case. I didn't go off as hard as maybe I probably could have.
Yeah.
But I think the dynamic of Liverpool is always don't cook yourself, because Liverpool is classically always wet every year. And I think it's one of them ones where if you do go off too hard, you're quite quickly gonna, you're gonna find out.
It's a long way. Yeah.
So I think it's one of them ones where it's controversial for sure. I think personally, I would like it just to be maybe either 2 separate races, or the under-23s also do the 8K.
Because it's hard. You're looking up and looking for the under-23 numbers. You're getting info from people on the side that are trying to count as well. Yeah. It's a nightmare for the commentators. And it's not until you come into the home straight that you can then see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're looking for that top 6. We know with under-23s, it's about who's in the US as well, because I think it's first 4, isn't it, normally?
Yeah, for sure,
And so there's a lot of connotations to the race, and it definitely adds to the drama, but I always think, who does it suit more? Does it sometimes also... Is it an issue to the seniors, having people surging in a race? It's a bit like a training session when people are doing less reps. Someone always boots in, imagine someone's last rep is number 8 and you're doing 15.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can help you in a way because it clicks you into a faster gear, but it can ruin your race as well. So,
And I think perhaps this is all heightened at Liverpool as well, because there's so much riding on it.
Yeah.
It's like the goal of everybody for the first half of the cross-country season.
Yeah.
You've got to keep your head under pressure there as well, and I think sometimes that can be a downfall for some people.
And also, because there's no mile races, there's a bit more time in the timetable. I think they maybe could have gone with under-23 separate races, potentially. And also a showcase for those under-23s, because you've got to go to Euros and try and win a race.
Do you think it's perhaps there's not enough people to fill an under-23 race?
Maybe.
It's always the smaller age category, and perhaps they don't see not the value, but the time taken for that race for the 30 people stood on the start line.
Could be.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's an interesting area of discussion again. So, I mean, again, I'd like to see it being a bit clearer, and I think a selection race that has the potential to be messy. I'd rather it was a bit more,
because it's hard to cover moves when you're amongst all the senior men. Someone can hide. If you're a small guy,
that's what Dafydd Stone did last year.
Yeah.
Dafydd Stone literally tucked himself into league group, and I think he got kind of pulled away.
Yeah, and
no one realised he was as far forward.
Or you always don't even know he's ahead of you.
Yeah. I think that I made that mistake because when you're in the race, you're thinking about you are thinking about the race, but you're racing. You're more engaged in, okay, who's in front of me, and you're only looking 20 or 30 meters ahead. And I knew on that second lap, okay, I'm about 6th right now, okay, but I knew I could see 2 under-20s ahead, and I knew I had loads more in me because I didn't go off too hard on that first lap.
Yeah,
and then I'm coming up the home straight. And I'm thinking, oh, there we go. Will's winning. Okay. Oh, I'm 4th. Great. Automatic. Cross the line. Oh, Dafydd Stone's in front of Will. Didn't have no idea. And I'm thinking, I'm out of the automatic spots now. So it does add that I wouldn't say excitement, but it adds a bit of...
you're always running in the blind.
Bit of carnage to everything. And I think... That's always every year. That's just how Liverpool is. And I think, for me, the most daunting thing about Liverpool is that start. It's so wide. And obviously now I'm, in the mix with the seniors just for that first lap.
Because I was thinking also, what if someone's under-23 number fell off? Because you're going off, you're going off visuals and number until they take that turn, that corner. If you didn't know, because people can be right on that borderline, can't they, ages-wise? So... so you've got a couple of weeks to think about the plan, and
for sure,
there'll be a few people looking at weather forecasts as well.
They'll have the long-term.
I think it's going to be wet and muddy in Liverpool. I think it's going to be a bit of a mud bath. Is my prediction.
Looking at the weather forecast, I reckon we're having a repeat of last year. But I think it's one of them ones where I think obviously British Athletics have decided to keep the same structure as last year, and it might not be what everybody wanted, but as you said, Jen, I think. It's one of them ones where under-23s, if they did it for the men, they'd have to do it for the women, and that's another 2 races in the schedule. So yeah, it does take away friction, but then there's also some controversy whether it changes the dynamic of the race and maybe messes up the seniors races as well if somebody goes off harder than the seniors are expecting.
And the men went and won the gold, didn't they? So, and I think the under-23 women did really well as well. So it shows you again that the trial actually worked last year in terms of the team. So yeah, I mean that's probably the proof that they would turn around and say, look, worked last year, same again. Let's do it again. So well, look, best of luck for a couple of weeks, Dav. What else you got coming up after this? What are you looking at?
I think, we sort of have only looked now mainly up until Euros. I think it's nice to have, in my eyes now, to have blocks where we're aiming towards a certain something, this being Euros, and then sort of reconvening and saying, right, okay, this is what we've got next. I think in the back of my mind, there's the Commonwealth Games coming up in 2026, and I'm still 21, so I'm not sort of at that point where I feel like, I'm going to be competitive in the Commonwealth Games, but the standards that have been set by Welsh Athletics and Sports Wales are within my reach, I feel. So, I feel like I'm young, and I feel like there's nothing really to lose in me chasing those standards this year. There'll be still maybe a couple of cross-country races in sort of early January, but after that, I think the attention will sort of turn to getting ready for a fast 5K, and as we've discussed before, sort of raising my ceiling and making sure that I'm getting under 13:30 for 5K, and that doesn't always mean like I like doing a lot of threshold work. That means more speed, more 1500 stuff.
A little bit, Dan.
Yeah, I've seen you running up that hill.
Yeah, but no, I think sort of after Euros, the goal will be sort of get ready for the summer and make sure that I'm giving that a real go, because I don't feel like I've got anything to lose.
Yeah.
So
and if I could give you any advice for kind of fully immersing yourself in if you do make it to the Commonwealth Games, learn and take on board as much as you can in a kind of environment where there's perhaps a little bit less pressure the first time around, kind of with the goal to look ahead to another major champs, because you can take away so much from that regardless of what the performance outcome is.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think over the years it's been one of them ones where I feel like I've always had a stepping stone every year, and I think personally I'm the type of person to look at every year and think, okay, maybe this year I haven't had the times, but I've had experiences, and I've been to some junior champs and I've been to the European cross-country champs last year, and again, they might not always be what you expect on paper, but you learn so much. And I think being in teams with people like Will Barnicoat and some of the seniors as well, like Rory Leonard and all them that did particularly well in Euros last year, it's one of them ones where I think it's nice in a sense to realise that they're human as well, and sort of sit there and think they're not doing anything too spectacular. Because I think coming from where I've come from, it's one of them ones where you think, these elite guys, they must be doing something,
there's a secret
something
sauce
crazy,
out there.
but it's not. It's just really good, solid work, and I think you realise that a lot of the best athletes, when they're not training and when they're not sort of needing to be engaged and switched on, they can switch off and forget about training and forget about running. I think that's one of the most important aspects of the sport, is being able to say, right, okay, I've done my training for today, let's sort of disengage for a bit. So I think, it's important to go through your stages, go through different championships and learn, and never really dwell on things. Like, I will always try and have a positive twist on everything to make sure that, okay, yes, this didn't go particularly well today, but okay, I did this, and this, which I'm really happy with. And I think when you look at juniors these days, I think they need to have that sort of engagement with somebody to realise, like, okay, like, these guys aren't doing anything spectacular, and they've gone through the ranks. And I feel like, as somebody that's done that, I didn't go straight away to being very, very good. I took my time going through the age groups and sort of took my time raising myself up to those sort of top ranks in amongst the Brits. And I think it's always nice when I speak to some younger guys that are sort of on the Welsh cross scene now, or the Welsh track scene, and I always tell them, okay, you might not have had this amazing year that you're expecting, but every year you'll take a step forward, and I think the guys that always sort of end up making it are the guys that they just don't give up. They always turn up every year. They always find a reason to fight back, and I think that's for me the biggest thing, is always turning up and always just giving yourself that chance, even if some years you feel like it's not really going your way. Do you know what I mean?
No, agreed.
I couldn't agree more, to be fair, and I think that's something I always try to like tout to any junior athlete, is like, it's a process over time. Like, consistency is the main thing. You've got to enjoy what you're doing, and you've got to stay healthy, and if you can tick all those boxes, you're onto you're onto something good.
So Dav, honestly, thanks so much for coming into the studio today. Loved your insight. People can catch back, can't they, Jen, on the action? It's on the Welsh Athletics YouTube page. I think the action that wasn't on there was the winner of the Cardiff Cross Cake-Off. That was one of the biggest wins of the day. Rachel Bowen, Liz Worry, with her Rocky Roads, white chocolate and chocolate orange were to die for. So that was the title. So
should have come to that commentary box.
You should have, Jen.
Absolutely messed up there.
That was where the real winning was. But what a brilliant bit of insight. And love to having you, Dav. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, it's been great.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, share this podcast with a friend, and we'll be back next week.